T-minus 1 minute.
More juice for the gyro.
Like the juice.
T-minus 50 seconds.
At the point where we're at, it is a lot easier for new people to get up to speed really quick.
T-minus 40 seconds.
Let's go. That's a W. That's E1. That's E1. That's a W. How many of you want to eat a W tonight?
T-minus 30 seconds.
Rick Hill taking over our camera. I think there may be a penalty for excessive celebration, but you know what? I'm going to let that one slide.
T-minus 20 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. Now y'all some fun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Take a deep
4,
breath.
3,
This is it, right
2,
here.
1, 0.
Hey, we're back. Welcome back to the Football Card Quest. My name is Andy. This is Steve, the Hitman Caladesi, live with me here tonight to break down all the best NFL players that you're looking to add to your fantasy teams. We're gonna chop it up to see if they make good football card investments. So we're gonna be doing a lot of live eBay sold and live eBay auction sniping analysis tonight. Steve, how you feeling, man? Look at that clean shaven face you got, dude.
Turning it back a little bit with the cold weather. It's sure to grow back rather quickly, but I had to hit the reset button, maybe once or twice a year and just let it grow back. Feels kind of nice when you get the little stubble going on. I had the grizzly face going last week, so we had to switch it up. But should be an exciting time. Whether you're just a football fan or a hobbyist or playing a little fantasy, we have the trade deadline coming up, which makes for a lot of unique situations. You can have nice, Derek. You can have a guy that had little to no impact on a team become a starter after a trade. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
Oh man, we've got some spicy NFL trade rumors to chop up tonight that I think could make some really good card investments for the immediate, present time right now to add and then flip here in the next couple weeks. So we definitely want to chop that up. What's going on, Carter from Power Hour SEC? What's good, man? We got DDY_JSN in the house. Derek, our man Derek, what's good, man? who's Andy's underage host? That's the eBay Hitman. That's too funny. So the number one player right now trending on playerprofiler.com is actually a defensive player, Steve. I'll give you one guess as to who it is.
Probably Sauce, if I had to guess.
It's Sauce, baby. It's the cheese sauce, man. Sauce Gardner. He is blowing up right now on social media, in the NFL, and on eBay. There's a few auctions that I'm tracking right now. One of them is a black ink pen pal, Steve, that has 1 minute left, that is getting ready to end in just a minute. I'm curious to see what this gets up to, because I think this may end higher than some of the skill position players we're going to talk about tonight in this live stream. Guys that are also rookies that I think make good card investments based on their utilization. So we're going to be talking a little bit of advanced fantasy and NFL analysis around snap share, target share, targets per route run, all that kind of good stuff. And then we're going to dig into some of these players' athletic profiles and see what's good. But just right off the bat, I thought this was absolutely amazing, and something I wanted to point out. How regardless of whether the player is a skill position player on defense or offense, if they're playing good and they're young and their team is winning, man, they're going to get hyped like crazy. And Sauce is a prime example. So let's see what this.
I said in the preseason with a little bit of a blowback that I thought the Jets would be a pretty good team this year. They have so many young skill position players. They're showing what they can do out there. And I think that this was a guy that most people weren't expecting to have the impact that he's having already. So It's great. I like seeing it. And a lot of it has to do with, we talk about this all the time, and guys that come out of nowhere and surprise people, and the Jets are surprising people. So surely that's going to have a even more great an effect on their values when they do perform.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Derek says Jets still suck. Tony, I see your question. Yes, sir, I am. I absolutely am. Although Mariota led them to a nice win over San Fran, but San Fran's defense right now is riddled with injuries, and they suffered one more on Sunday. So it was actually, I was more interested. I was actually really interested to see the day that Brandon Ayuk had, man, the utilization from Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. Like, George Kittle's an explosion waiting to happen. They love to see Jimmy Garoppolo being a little bit more aggressive. San Fran pushing the ball a little bit more. Atlanta forced them to do it. That was a fun game to check in on from time to time. I appreciate this comment from Andrew T. DC Sports 87. Steve has actually got a pro eBay tip for us later in this live stream. So make sure you stay tuned for that, because he's run into a little issue with his eBay account. That is not his fault. That is something that is very important that you guys want to watch out for. And we're definitely gonna bring that up. I'm glad you picked up a Ritter, Tony. I think that's a smart decision, man. I really do. I'm going to talk about another rookie quarterback tonight that I think is a good time to pick up as well, Steve. So right out the bat, Steve, 4 teams on bye week this week, but big teams, man. So the slate is going to be impacted by these guys. You got Buffalo, who are 5-1, who have put up the most points in the NFL. Well, second most, but they're only 3 points behind the Chiefs. They put up 176. Second most behind the Chiefs have put up 179, but they just beat the Chiefs. So you might as well consider Buffalo 1A, the Eagles 1B. The Chiefs are right there, but Buffalo going 5-1. The LA Rams are on bye this week at 3-3. They've only put up 104 points, still struggling to get that offensive line, protect Stafford. And, you know, their offense, we'll talk about it in a little bit, some of the interesting things that I'm seeing there. The Vikings, Steve, the Vikings are quietly 5-1, dominating the NFC North. And I'm not sure how many people realize that right now they put up 139 points in the NFL. They're crushing it. The Packers are now 3-3. You know, behind that, the Bears and the Lions are both struggling. The Eagles are on bye week this week at 6-0. They put up 161 points, and the NFC East is looking like a stud of a division with the Giants at 5-1, the Cowboys with that sick defense at 4-2. Steve, that's a pretty big impact to the slate this week in terms of bye weeks. I'm almost tending to think like you have teams coming back this week, like Detroit, Houston. Have you seen any real dips in the market or opportunities in the market from the bye weeks impacting these teams and players?
You know, I think that everyone was really overpaying. We talked last week about like the Dobbs, Green Bay Packers receivers. People were overpaying for those. We noticed when we did some similar comparisons. They're not playing up to what their prices would indicate. So there could be some good opportunities to buy the dips on those guys. Vikings at 5-1, but they're on a bye week, you know, out of sight, out of mind. There might be some good opportunities to buy there. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of buy openings on Josh Allen's. They're just going up, up, up. But, you know, you talked about the Diggs Silver Prisms and cards like that. Those can still be obtained for a reasonable price. I would definitely look there. But, yeah, we definitely talked up the Vikings in the preseason, and they are looking legit.
Very, very much so. Yeah, and the defense is actually playing pretty decent, all things considered. That compared to where they came into the season last year, which was like almost dead last, right now, I mean, they're doing okay. It's not like they're doing great. You look at their current rankings from Football Outsiders. Their passing defense, DVOA, is still like 22nd. So, you know, it's not like fantastic. Rushing defense 20th. But they're also, I do like the way that Kevin O'Connell is spicing up that offense. They have stuck to their guns. We said they were going to play aggressive. We said they were going to play faster, and Kevin O'Connell has done just that. So I like to see that, man. I really do. That's a really good thing to see. And look, that's all it really took for them to start winning more games. And now at 5-1, even though one of those was the primetime loss to the Eagles, everybody's losing to the Eagles. So just the fact that the Minnesota Vikings are 6th in pace of play in the NFL right now and throwing the ball at the 8th highest rate in the league. So they're being aggressive, man. And I still think that there's a lot of opportunity to get into Kirk Cousins cards now, get into some more Justin Jeffersons because he spikes so high right out of the gate in the season. There's kind of has been a dip, although I would say that door's probably closed. I say you're better off probably buying into Kirk Cousins. I guess that his 2012 Prism cards are still fairly cheap. I mean, he may be in single quarterback leagues. Kirk Cousins may be out there on the waiver wire, man. I'm sure he's not rostered in all leagues, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't even have Kirk Cousins cards in their collection. But this is a team that's headed for the playoffs, Steve. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like anyone in the division is going to be able to hold them down, and where they go from there is to be seen. But yeah, I mean, I would think that they're going to be the division winner almost for certain. And there is some rumors around them. I don't know how legit they are, but maybe a Mike Gesicki trade was one of the rumors I heard. That would be huge because he's being underutilized in Miami as more of a blocker than a receiver. And I don't know if you've seen this guy in the red zone, but he can get up.
Yeah, he's a massive tight end of a human being. He actually had a big fantasy week this past week. Of course, I'm sure most people did not have them on their starting roster. Probably was on the bench or not being played. But Kirk Cousins, PSA 10, $36, ending in 41 minutes. That is incredibly undervalued. I'm going to pull him up over on the keep him. I had Kyler Murray. We're going to pop back over to Kyler Murray because I do want to talk about the Cardinals as well. But this is just, I think, a big opportunity right now. You look at the pop count of Kirk Cousins. You don't even see his prism pop up on the most sold graded cards in the past 30 days. What I'm seeing is the base tops. The Topps Chrome Pink Refractor actually sold the most. Base Topps Chrome. Actually, Prism Auto. That's how low the pop count is on his base Prism. I probably have to scroll down here a little bit, and there it is. Okay, 32. A population count of 32, guys. So that just goes to show you there's either a massive opportunity to get his raw Prism cards graded, or you go and buy the PSA 10. You see a buy it now on August 29th before the season for 85. Well, the only thing that's changed is now we're entering that part of the year where it's colder outside, and a lot of people's teams have really struggled, right? If you're a Packers fan, if you're a Cardinals fan, I mean, shoot, me as a Bucks fan, I mean, I'm not thrilled about how my team is doing. I just got beat by the Steelers in a game that we should have destroyed them. But I guess, like you said, Mitch Trubisky heard I was talking crap about him and came in and close the deal. But it's like Cousins is quietly just cruising to another top 10 season. It looks like they will make the playoffs this year, and his cards are pretty scarce, especially graded in high condition. And here we are, probably this auction. I don't know what it's going to end at now if I've steamed it up a little bit in this auction. Sorry about that, but I still think it's going to go undervalued. I guarantee you, I'm going to bid on it. Shoot, I'm going to bid on this right now. I've got a couple raw ones, but I don't have anything in. And this almost has a silver look to it, but it doesn't say silver in that. But I mean, I have no problem coming in here and bidding 55, 88 and just letting that fly. I mean, that's not putting up a whole lot of competition. I've already been outbid. Look at that, Steve.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised about that one. I think that people were maybe thinking they could grab that one at the last second, but that, if they weren't 5-1, maybe, but there's 30 some watchers on it. It's got some eyes on it.
I wouldn't be surprised if you were to just come over into the Kirk Cousins buy it now section as well and be able to find some pretty decent deals. I mean, especially if you were to compare Kirk Cousins to Russell Wilson. Like, at this point, do we really think that the Denver Broncos, honestly, they were pretty competitive last night, went to overtime, almost to the end of overtime, pretty good defenses going at each other. But Russell Wilson finally, is starting to slowly look better. And I've got to give him like the benefit of the doubt that, this guy has 10 really good years under his belt. So I got to feel like that they are going to put some pieces together, but can they get out of the AFC West, right? Can they get out of the AFC West against the Chargers and the Chiefs when you also have the Raiders, who I do think are going to get their crap together? And kind of, you look at these teams like the Chargers, or not the Chargers, but the Raiders and the Broncos, they both have new coaching staffs, and you have new skill position players, whether it be Russell Wilson or Davante Adams, and new coaches and this and that. And there's a lot of, you can tell that there's a lot of like, initial speed bumps that they're having to go over, and they're definitely kind of moving slow right now. Like I got to look up the status of Davante Adams. Like, the guy pushed the cameraman. He had to go to court, misdemeanor. I know it's probably just a money stunt or something. Like, I mean, I'm surprised that the guy got actually charged for a misdemeanor offense for that. I mean, like, there's been a lot worse stuff happen to, bystanders and stuff on the field before, and those people don't get charged like that. So I don't know. They made a case out of it because it was prime time. It happened in the spotlight when all the cameras were on him, and it was right after that play where he ran into Hunter Renfrow at the end of the game and this and that. And it was a close game. Like, they could have won that game.
Understandably frustrated. I mean, it's not taking your frustration out on a civilian. Probably not the way to do it, especially not on camera, nonetheless. But you got to think that they have better games ahead of them. So if you get the opportunity to get your hands on some good Davante Adams cards, he's already entrenched himself as one of the best receivers of our generation. So he's another guy worth looking at, especially with them being what are they, 1-4 right now, something like that.
Yeah, so I pulled his cards up, Steve, because I was like, yeah, this makes sense. Like, I want to check on his status. The NFL is going to wait for the legal process to play out in the Davante Adams case before considering a potential suspension. So it looks like Adams won't face any repercussions this season. That's just ridiculous. The cameraman filed. That's what happened. The cameraman filed a police report against Adams after going to the hospital to treat whiplash and a possible minor concussion as a result of the shove. So he's probably going to get sued. That's what it is. You got to file a police report to have that as part of your civil lawsuit. So that cameraman is trying to get paid, because I saw it. It didn't look that bad. It didn't look like it caused whiplash or concussion. The guy bounced right back up, if I remember correctly. And so I don't know. I mean, I hate to, obviously I wasn't on the ground. So I'm not saying I visually can say for 100% certainty that didn't happen. But I don't know. You guys out there in the chat, really, do you think that guy got a concussion and whiplash? It sounds like the guy's trying to get paid at this point. In order to get paid, he had to file a police report. So nothing's going to happen to Adams right now. So obviously he can continue playing. Steve, I mean, I want to look up the Raiders' upcoming schedule, but this is one guy that, and what's interesting, you see his card values pulled up here on the left. I don't think that there's been a massive dip like the super base stuff. Yeah, upper deck in his college uniform, base tops that is graded down 41%. But look at this. Top's finest X Factor up 24%. The Prism base up 19% on a pop of 166. So, that's a positive correlation. Like, people are still going to pay $65 for his Prism PSA 10, whether or not he shoves a guy.
Yeah, I think, the guy's still a good investment. I think he could potentially miss a game once the punishment gets handed down, but I couldn't see it being anything too crazy, where he's going to miss several games or a portion of the season or whatever. We've seen some of these guys get away with way worse like Aaron Donald swinging a helmet at somebody and stuff like that, and never even getting any repercussions out of it. So, I think it'll be minor, if anything. And but there are some people that may look to move on from some of his stuff, presenting an opportunity for you.
Yeah, because this is a get-right weekend. They're playing at home against the Houston Texans. And the Texans haven't played terrible on defense. I'll tell you that. Lovie Smith, defensive-minded coach. But against the pass, they're currently 16th in the league, pass defense DVOA. The rush, 29th against the rush. So fire up your Josh Jacobs. Fire up your Josh Jacobs, Steve. I know you're a Josh Jacobs truther. Josh Jacobs has been getting these bell cow size workloads in both rushing and receiving. It's almost like they're running them into the ground to see how many carries and dump offs they can give him before he just totally the wheels come off of him. Obviously he's in a contract year, so they're trying to get every last little penny out of Josh Jacobs. So I expect a lot of Josh Jacobs if you're looking at setting your rosters this week, and I don't know. Josh Jacobs is still pretty young. He's in a contract year. He's a guy that I know you've been high on before. He went to Alabama, so he's got that college pedigree. He's got the draft capital, and I don't know what his current stock is like, Steve. But I mean, those would be my targets this week, and it'd be Davante and Josh Jacobs for the Raiders.
Yeah, Jacobs, if you recall before the season, saw a pretty significant dip when they drafted Zamir White. A lot of people thought that, it was just going to be like a three-headed monster, and he was just going to be like a role player, and it didn't shake out that way. But so people that kind of panic sold are probably regretting it right now if they were holding anything substantial, because his stuff has begun to climb back up, and if he puts together, a couple more 100-yard campaigns with touchdowns. He's going to be entrenching himself in the, hypothetically top 5 RB conversation in the league again.
Yeah, he's there, man. He is there on my hype index. Like, I look at his week over week increases, and if I just look at running backs, I do not have to go far before I find Josh Jacobs. Like, he came into the season as number 90 out of 320 players that I track on the hype index. Well, he dropped a little bit after week 1, and week 2 didn't quite live up to expectations. But ever since then, he's gone up 124, and then he shot up in week 5 to 34, then 14. Now he's right around my RB6. He's right around number 6 most hyped running back in the league, just based on his production over his expectations. So he's really performed well, and he's still very young, like you mentioned. So I'm looking at this Davante Adams auction right here. This is incredible because we can see the chart, and the Davante Adams Topps Finest X Fractor, which is a very popular design, only a population of 53 in PSA 10, 3 sales in the last month, 20 sales in the past year. And even at 72, or 65, this card is not bad. I'm looking at this from October 12th at 72. I'm looking at a high back in February of 199, playoffs November last year. Obviously, different quarterback situation, but now with Derek Carr, still have that chemistry with them being so prolific back in college, and they're gonna get together, man. They were so close. They were so close to beating the Chiefs. And so, you got this extra, like, look at this, man. This is crazy undervalued right here.
Yeah, that's a strong buy right there. And someone may get a great deal on it tonight if it doesn't go up. That chrome, the orange chrome right there is beautiful. I mean, the Pulsar is beautiful too. I mean, look at the prices on these. There's just so much room, so much meat on the bone on those. And if you can grab those up this evening, there's definitely going to be a high point, in the next few weeks where you'd be able to move on from those if you choose to.
Yeah, and he's still got 3 or 4 good years left in him, being a wide receiver, much longer age production bell curve than a running back. So, Derek Carr should be kicking it for a few more years at a high level. Hopefully, once they get synced in it should be. We still have not seen a true like ceiling performance, not anything like he had with Rodgers. We're not expecting quite that level, but we expect to see some pretty massive ceiling games from Adams and Carr. Definitely something to look for there. A lot of value to soak up. Now, the upcoming schedule, we mentioned the Texans this weekend. They get the Saints. They go to New Orleans. That's another possible win. They go to Jacksonville after that. That could be a win. Like, Jacksonville's hit or miss, man. They're not, Trevor Lawrence is definitely playing timid out there. The guy had almost a 90% completion percentage. They had the lead early in this game against the Colts, and they sat on it, man. And you say this every week, Steve. You cannot sit on a lead. It drives you crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I remember watching. Brady used to do this a lot, and there was a few other QBs that would do it a lot, and they'd be up 3-4 touchdowns. They'd still be chucking it down the field, and you should be. I mean, the game's not over till you're walking off the field with your hand raised. Just finish the game. If you're up 21-0, make it 40. Just keep playing. Like, we all remember the Super Bowl between the Falcons and Falcons and the Patriots, where they almost choked. So I mean, you gotta just finish the game. They have the ability, they have the skill to do it. To me, it's just got to be a coaching error.
Yeah, well, the Falcons did choke in that Super Bowl because they had the lead and they let Brady and the Patriots come all the way back and take it from them. Oh man, there's some nice Josh Jacobs auctions ending tonight. Like, this one's pretty cool looking patch. Obviously not game worn. It's too bad because that's a cool looking patch. Like, it looks thick and chunky. I like these lightning bolts all around it, man. Tie-dye out of 25 ending in just 2 hours, like $4 right now for a card that rare. Like, even non-game worn, still with this just being out of 25. Maybe it doesn't have an RC shield, but still, like, that's a solid card right there. Like, it's pretty solid value.
That Spectra you just rolled past was beautiful.
That
one
right
and the one down, that one there.
Oh, the gold. Well, it says neon orange 10 out of 10, but typically serial numbered out of 10 is gold. They might have this one mislabeled here.
But that's a beauty, man. And here's a one thing about a guy like him too is, we've talked about how like the bell cow back is like a dying breed in the NFL, and there's just not a lot of guys that are the focal point of the offense. He's catching the ball, he's running the ball, and he's getting 20 plus touches a game. And there's only a handful of guys that can still do that week in, week out. So he's not old.
All right. I know what the people come for, Steve. The people come for us to talk about which backup quarterbacks in the league are the best ones to invest in because they have such a big potential of skyrocketing value if they get a starting opportunity. Bailey Zappe's a prime example. Skylar Thompson, another prime example, right? Kenny Pickett, obviously, we think that there may be a QB controversy brewing there, Steve. Real quick, I got to hear your take, because if you guys have been tuned in for any amount of time, Trubisky being drafted by Chicago Bears, Steve here as a diehard Bears truther through the thick and the thin, and is stuck by Trubisky's side through it all. And I don't know, because you're also a Tampa fan, so you saw Trubisky come in and get the job done against Tampa with Chase Claypool of all people.
It was bittersweet. It was bittersweet. I mean, I think maybe he just needed a little fire under his keister to get his blood going again, because that's maybe the one thing he was lacking. But the coaches are saying that he'll be relegated back to backup role once Pickett's healthy again. So it makes me wonder if maybe they'll move on from Trubisky, or if maybe behind the scenes there is more of a controversy than we're aware of. You got to see that the way that team has played overall this season. And if you actually go into like Steelers chat pages and stuff like that, like there's no one that's sitting there being like, this is 100% Trubisky's fault. Like the team as a overall has just really underperformed. Their O-line is, you're seeing it with Brady. I'm seeing it with Fields. I mean, the guy's running for his life every drop back. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah. $3 for Jacob Prism. It's good. I agree with you, Steve. That the team as a whole, they got so many injuries on defense right now. That's why I was shocked that our offense ultimately just wasn't able to outscore them, and you could see the frustration and Brady just screaming at the offensive linemen on the side, just cannot get our acts together over there. But I expect like us, similar to like with the Raiders, if there was if the one of those offensive linemen was a cameraman, wouldn't be surprised if Brady shoved him out of the way on the sideline right then. They implemented the fine rule on smashing the Windows tablets on the sideline because of Tom Brady. So there's some aggression that some of these teams and some of these elite players are getting out right now because they're just not quite gelling. They're not quite able to play at the level that they know they're capable of playing because it's so close. It's right there. And they want to get back to that pinnacle, and they're fighting for it. So, but yeah, it's talking. There could be a potential quarterback controversy there because Pickett's still in concussion protocol for the Miami Dolphins. I think Tua's going to come back this week. I really do think Tua's ultimately going to come back this week. We've seen Teddy Bridgewater step in, play good. Ultimately, we knew it. We really knew you could put any type of decent quarterback. That's why they picked up Bridgewater. Because they knew we've got Mike McDaniels, we've got we've got Jalen Waddle, we've got Tyreek Hill, Mike Gesicki, Raheem Mostert. We've got a ton of speed and skill on our offense. Just get those guys out in space, get the ball to them. We don't have to do anything crazy, elongated plays, nothing like that. Short, intermediate stuff. Let's go. We can move the chains. We can score this way. And Teddy was able to come in and put up quite a few fantasy points for the duration of that game. Bailey Zappi, now 2-0 in his NFL career. But from what I'm hearing, talking to guys like Derek Richard, who are in Boston, they're in New England. They've been New England lifers. Andrew Perry, they say, no, it's Mac Jones. Mac Jones' job. If you think Bailey Zappi is going to take this job from Mac Jones, that's not going to happen. But there's a lot of beat reporters and media writers that are saying this is a QB controversy right now between Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones, Steve. And I think if you've got Bailey Zappi, you need to sell him now. Last week he was a hold. We told you guys to hold him. We were right. And he did exactly what you wanted him to do if you held him. Now's the time to sell, though, because I don't know, Steve. I think Mac Jones is probably going to get that starting job back.
Or maybe get moved. You never know. I mean, his value may never be higher with the opportunity to trade him. So maybe. I mean, it's going to depend on who's desperate for a quarterback. But going back to the Tua thing, I was mentioning that I thought that they were kind of overblowing that situation. He passed concussion protocol last week, and they chose to sit him. So he's definitely starting this week. And I was actually able to pick him up on free agency on a waiver wire or just through free agency in 3 leagues. That's a great backup to have, or a starter in some cases where you have a Wilson underperforming. If you had a guy like Wilson as your starting quarterback, go grab Tua. If somebody dropped Kirk Cousins, go grab Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it's some of these backup quarterbacks, why invest in a backup quarterback when I can buy a first-year Prism 2012 Kirk Cousins PSA 10 for $40? It's why would I go and invest this money in Skylar Thompson or something when I could do that? But there are a couple guys that, because they're rookies, that will generate that FOMO or fear of missing out, which has such a big impact on people's buying decisions and wanting to get in on a guy before they become the next superstar. And there are some opportunities coming up around the league. One of the guys that you do not want to buy, though, you're going to see his name. He's coming up this weekend, Steve. He plays for the Carolina Panthers. They just brought him up from the practice squad. So the Carolina Panthers are on their 4th quarterback. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold still dealing with sprained ankles. PJ Walker now has a neck injury. Jacob Eason is the only healthy quarterback on the roster for Carolina. They're playing in Carolina this weekend against Tampa Bay. And this should be, I hope that this should be a bloodbath. They just traded Robbie Anderson, something else we're going to talk about. Robbie Anderson traded to the Arizona Cardinals, which is perfect timing. Nobody wanted Robbie Anderson because he's an asshole. Coaches, he can't work with anybody, but the Cardinals are desperate. They're desperate. They just lost Marquise Brown, which it looks like he's out indefinitely. So he's going to be out for at least like 6 to 8 weeks. And they needed somebody. And Robbie Anderson, not quite as good as Hollywood Brown, not quite as fast, doesn't have the resume, but he's going to be a warm body there. And they're getting DeAndre Hopkins back. Plus, you have Rondale Moore, who's emerging. So there's some stuff to like there, Steve. But Jacob Eason, I'm saying, don't touch.
If in fact you are a Rasta, you may have smoked enough to invest in Jacob Eason, but don't invest in Jacob Eason. A lot of people already lost a lot of money on him in 2020. Don't be one of those guys. And I got to say a quick shout out to my buddy Crucial K in the chat. One of my best friends there. What's up, Kevin?
Shout out to Kevin, Crucial K in the chat. Yeah, guys, stay away from Jacob Eason. I was trying to pull up some because I'm sure some people are trying to get in some Jacob Eason right now, but
It's a trap.
he's one of those guys you got to play it's the trap gif for that guy. Just don't do it. 40% complete. 40% completion percentage last year whenever he was forced into playing time. He is slow. He is 6'6", 231. He had a terrible quarterback rating in college out of Washington University. Did not throw the ball far downfield. Did not break out at a young age. Is not athletic. He's a 4th-round draft pick. Best comparable to Kyle Orton. So stay away there. Just avoid the Panthers altogether. Actually, don't avoid the Panthers altogether because this is my thought, right? This is my thought, Steve. I want to buy DJ Moore right now. DJ Moore is so good. The guy's put up over 1,000 receiving yards virtually every single year. He's commanded massive target shares in that offense, and he's still very young. He's only 25 and a half years old as a receiver, incredibly dominant in college, 1st-round draft pick. The guy has, just look at his stats. Over 1,100 receiving yards, 3 out of the past 4 years. And now, with Baker Mayfield, Baker has not, the entire offense has been anemic. Matt Rule's now been fired. He definitely was a part of that problem. And now you're on your 4th-string quarterback. The schedule has become bleak. And DJ Moore, though, from what I think, if Carolina can continue to lose, they're already – I did a mock draft for 2023 last night on PFF, and they're picking at number 7. But they're still picking behind teams like the Seahawks, the Texans, the Lions, the Falcons. And I'm like, wait a minute. Some of these teams are probably not even going to be in the market for a quarterback. Now, if you ask Derek, he's like CJ Stroud, Bryce Young are possibly too good for them to even pass up. But I think there's some teams there, like maybe even the Jets, even though now the Jets are looking pretty good. I think Carolina continues to move up the draft board, and DJ Moore gets a massive quarterback upgrade next year. He's under contract with Carolina through 2025. And I feel like Carolina is careening toward like a top 3 draft pick, and they're probably going to land one of these big time, even if they have to trade future capital, whatever the case may be, to move up to get a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud. Get DJ Moore a massive QB upgrade, and you're going to see his cards immediately spike and go up big time. He's all of a sudden going to have like serious career relevancy. Like he's going to be on a big upward trajectory if that pans out. It looks like they're, I don't know. I feel pretty good about that narrative. Steve, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, he hasn't been named in any linked to any teams or anything yet, but you got to think that if they're going to go full rebuild, they're going to move on from some of their star players. They can acquire as much draft capital as possible. And today, Kansas City Chiefs did make about $3 to $4 million in cap space. They're looking to sign someone. I mean, their biggest, outside of Kelsey, their biggest weakness has been wide receivers. So you got to think there's maybe a chance. I don't see why not.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. There's definitely a chance. Or, you know, who actually I was thinking that they probably sign is Odell Beckham Jr. You know, Odell Beckham Jr. probably the best free agent out there. He's coming back. They freed up. Like, why else would the Chiefs free up $3.5 million in cap space for the rest of the year? You know, on a Tuesday in week 7, if it wasn't to potentially sign, apparently Odell Beckham Jr. is way ahead on his recovery timeline. They want more depth to their receiving room. I mean, it's not enough money to pick up, you know, a guy like Christian McCaffrey, which there's rumors swirling around about CMC. He's another guy that's on the trade block right now. We know the Rams have like, they're on the outs with Cam Akers. They're on the outs, and now their running back room is in big trouble. So they've got to be looking at him. So that's an interesting storyline to pay attention to. And what I'm looking at here, like DJ Moore value super low. So ultimately, like this is a play on just really good athletes. Like buy the good athlete in the hopes that they get a good landing spot or they get a massive quarterback upgrade next year. But it's like one of those things where, yeah, sure, you're not like, I got to buy him tonight. Like one of these other guys we're about to talk about. But it's a guy that I constantly want to be looking at every week to see what ends in auction. Like, yeah, I'm going to stash a Silver Prism rookie ticket auto for $20 in my box, or I'm going to stash a based donruss PSA 10 for $18. Like, heck yeah, man! Like, give it to me. You know, some of these cards that I'm seeing right now, and for DJ Moore.
I mean, as good as that guy is, the only thing that's been holding him back is just quarterback play. You know, he's really never had a good quarterback throwing him the ball. So it's whether he gets traded to a better team, which would be any team's better than what he's on realistically, or it doesn't get traded and they draft a QB1. You know, maybe a generational type QB talent, possibly. Either way, his value is going to see a huge spike at that point.
I got to think that Christian McCaffrey's getting steamed up a little bit about these trade rumors because they have been all over Twitter. It's been all over NFL Network. Look at the buy now Saturday for 90. Plus, Christian McCaffrey's still playing good. He's still getting a ton of carries and receiving work, especially this past week. I mean, he was virtually like, throw to Christian McCaffrey over here. Throw to Christian McCaffrey over there. You know, it's just like every play was around Christian McCaffrey. It was like kind of their last ditch, effort at trying to score points and win games. And the defense isn't playing all that terrible. So honestly, not going to lie, the game with the Bucs could be a low scoring affair, or Brady and our offense can finally get their crap together this weekend and we can actually put up a bunch of points. And but still, if the Carolina offense is not explosive enough with Jacob Eason, even with Christian McCaffrey, for them to really turn this game into a shootout. I would be totally shocked if that happened, because the Bucs offense our defense is still playing pretty good as well. The Tampa Bay defense, Steve, is still ranked 4th in total defensive DVOA. It's pretty solid against the pass, 4th against the run, 8th. Very, very solid, overall.
You don't see a lot of trades for O-line, but if there's a will, there's a way. I mean, Tampa's got all the pieces to win, but their line is killing them. They have elite receivers, they have elite running, defense, obviously, you were just mentioning. They have Tom Brady, so they need to protect him. If they can find a way to do that, you can see things turn around pretty quickly for him. We got a little bot spam action in the chat, Andy.
Bot spam action. Thank you, sir. Derek, he brings those Tinder dates into the chat room. Sometimes they get a little out of control, but it's okay because Derek Richard coming with one of, I think, the biggest quarterback buy of the week. So if you're tuned in right now, smash that like button. Stay tuned because Steve's going to give you his eBay pro tip of the week. And then we're also going to give you our favorite early underdog pick 'em bets before we sign off tonight. But right now, guys, we're giving you the top. Like, if you're not buying into Desmond Ridder because Marcus Mariota is still playing too good, even though the Falcons do have a difficult schedule upcoming, Ridder was very, won a lot of games in college, played good in the preseason. Then you're buying Sam Howell from North Carolina because Carson Wentz is injured. Taylor Heineke absolutely stinks. And the Commanders, if I remember this, they're playing Green Bay this weekend. So you have a pretty solid defense. Wentz is out for 4 to 6 weeks. So they're starting Heineke this weekend, Steve. This is what the report says. But I mean, this is perfect because you don't have to rush, right, to buy Sam Howell right this second, but you probably want to because of the time it takes you to get cards and get them listed. And Heineke could stink so bad, or he could get hurt himself. Now all of a sudden, Howell's going in. Howell played so good in the preseason, throwing for 547 yards, 3 touchdowns with a 63% completion percentage, while also showing impressive rushing upside if you watch his preseason highlights. And like we said, Heineke was so bad. The Commanders' upcoming schedule: Green Bay at home this weekend, at Indianapolis, Minnesota at home, at Philadelphia, at Houston. So, with Wentz being out 4 to 6 weeks, this is just a perfect recipe for another rookie quarterback to get a start and a guy that is actually explosive. And if things fall apart, he's going to make plays with his legs. But, I mean, I saw him throw the ball, man. The guy's going to take shots. I think he's got a snappier reaction time than Carson Wentz. He's got more athleticism. Carter liked to liken him to a little bit more athletic version of Baker Mayfield. I think that, there's some potential here with Sam Howell, especially in a quick flip scenario. I think he makes a really interesting target.
And that's the whole thing. Going back to the backup quarterback question, is it's extremely risky, right? Because if the guy doesn't pan out and get starts and do well in those starts, the value, you're paying a premium for a rookie quarterback as it is. And if he never pans out, well, then it's like a dead investment. But this is a guy that's probably going to see some starts, probably even this year. So he at least shapes out to a good investment if you're, quick on the trigger to, get him listed after he has a good game.
Yeah, man, that's exactly it. So I was actually watching some of these Sam Howell auctions. I've got quite a few of them starred up because he's a guy that I'm looking heavily at right now as a quick flip candidate. Just like we did with Bailey Zappi, Skylar Thompson. This is another guy. He's going to get some playing time next couple weeks. Flip him quick. Something even like this. You got this big cursive rookie text here at the bottom. I'd really like to get something from Score or maybe Prestige, but I have no interest in these base cards, Steve. Is there a product here from 2022, Sam Howell, that you like? I like something like this. Like, this one's interesting. It's ending in an hour. Something I've been watching with this massive patch, number 2 out of 6.
That's nice.
I think it's nice. It's a really nice card. I think it's kind of got steamed up too much already, though, in my opinion. But it is really rare.
Yeah, I mean, look for some of the stuff that's come out that already has the pro uniform. There's only a handful, but like the Elements is out right now, which, I know we've talked about it in the Discord a few times, but the Elements are incredibly nice cards, heavy duty cards. They're literally made of metal. They're all serial numbered. They got pro uniforms on most players. So there's a few players that don't have pro uniforms on, but most of them do.
Steve, I'm looking at these gold standards for Sam Howell. I think I might like these best, to be honest with you, just because of the color match with the gold standard and the color of the Commander's uniform, I think there's a really nice match here. Like this one, for example, it even has like a platinum, what they call a platinum finish to the background or color in the background, but it's got, Commanders at the bottom. It's got Pro uniform. It's got an RC shield that's got the Commanders maroon red there. And, we got a serial number here out of 75. I mean, this is pretty appetizing right now. This is like a pretty good card, I think, to be able to flip. I mean, there's not a whole lot of sets out right now. If I look at the best sellers, like Scores doing really well. I don't even know. I haven't even really seen. I don't think I saw any Sam Howell scores. He was a late round draft pick. This guy wasn't drafted till 5th round. So I don't even think he's in Score.
Let's see.
Oh, he's in it. He's in it.
Oh, okay.
He's got a base.
Right.
There we go. We got some Score stuff. Now, I've heard some guys talk pretty highly about these 3D Dynamics case hits. This guy's got his auction started at 100, but those are a little bit thicker. They have like that kind of holographic finish to the front of it. But if I'm not going to look for a base score, very little upside. Like even the Bailey Zappies right now only selling for $5, right? So very little upside in a base score. It's just a base paper card. Right? They do have a nice clean design, but like this right here, okay, now we're talking. I spent about $50 on a Rashad White red zone numbered out of 20. This one's very interesting, ending Sunday night at 9 p.m. Right? Chances of him playing this Sunday, pretty low. It's a possibility, but it's pretty low. You're best off in this auction for him not playing this Sunday. Heineke actually looking okay, just good enough, just barely good enough for there to still be uncertainty on whether or not Sam Howell's going to start the next week. And you can get this card at a deal. And then this card's probably got, $300-400 upside. When you say, Steve, or what would you put this upside on this card at?
Yeah, I mean, if he gets a start, you'll see it get into the 100, 125 range. If he plays well, you're right, it could possibly get into the several hundred range. And you might be able to get the gold variation of that, which is, I think, the score is weird. It's numbered out of 50. Yeah, there it is. There's an auto. You can get the gold with an auto out of 50, which in my opinion is a better looking card for that uniform and specifically, but go for that. And it has a high flippability. It's a high liquidity card because it has a gold border.
You see what I'm saying? So this is like where it's like you don't want to rush, but at the same time you gotta be ready to snipe these things. What in the world's going on with the bots? The bots coming back in. Sorry about that, guys. But what's going on, Scuba Steve? But you don't want to miss out on something like this. Like whoever got this from South Korea, this, $15 out the door for a gold zone out of 50. That's great upside right there, Steve, because I'm easily feeling great about turnaround. Maybe sell that for closer to $100. I have to go, and what you'd want to do is say, okay, what's the score gold zone, and just kind of type in that card and see what they're going for. Like, see what the Malik non-autograph, right? We just want to see Patrick Mahomes, veteran, going for 20. Okay. The Baker Mayfield, someone still bought that for 11. But if we can actually like dial in, okay, now we're getting to a Kenny Pickett, 86 plus 5. Obviously not the way you want to see Kenny Pickett go out in his second game. So not a great NFL start to his
Zappy.
The Zappy. Did I pass over a Zappy? It's autographed, but yeah, it's still almost 400. Let's see. Another Sam Howell. That was the Sam Howell. There's a Sam. So, you got to do a little digging in here, but the Alec Pierce for about $15. That's nice. There's the Rashad White for about 5. Obviously, it's out of 50, so you're going to have to do some digging. That'll kind of give you an idea, but I think we got a pretty good idea with that one Kenny Pickett that sold for 85. So even if, like, right? It's more entry level, but still you get that for 15. Now all of a sudden you can easily sell that for 40, 50, you know? Listen to buy it now. Let it rip whenever he gets that start. So he's definitely a backup quarterback. If you look at my hype index and you look at like who the best backup quarterback that has actually shown to be good in actual NFL gameplay before, it's got an interesting storyline. It's Gardner freaking Minshew, Steve, because the Eagles are undefeated. If anything happened to Jalen Hurts and the weapons they have on the Eagles, the story that Gardner Minshew has, he's a freaking legend, man. He balled out last time Jalen Hurts missed a game in 2021. Gardner Minshew gets a start again. I mean, there's going to be another spike again. The guy's going to probably throw for 400 passing yards, and he's going to let it rip, and he's going to be, doing keg stands on the sidelines and, ripping his shirt off, going crazy. And the stadium's going to love it, and you'll see his cards jump in value. He's a guy that I think you should always have your eye on because he's young, he's dynamic, he's very outspoken and entertaining, and he's got an arm, man. He can sling it.
And he's a guy that could find his way into the trade block, sneakily. He's considered one of the better backups in the league. You never know. I mean, a lot of people assumed that he was going to start over Hurts over the last couple of years. Obviously, that didn't work out. So there's enough people out there that think he's starting caliber. We did see him play for the Jags for a while. So if he does make it onto another team, he'll be thrust into a starting role right away. So just on that alone, his values will go up.
Oh man, yep. Just on that alone, his value should go up. So, trying to focus over here, like Silver Prism Auto ending tomorrow night. Only $10.50 right now. Sealed by Panini. That's fantastic. Give me a PSA 10 base. Give me a green Pulsar. Are you kidding me? Autograph card.
Ooh, look at that select. Ooh,
I know there's some really, really sweet Gardner Minshew cards ending, and because he's a backup, he's one of those guys you want to have stashed in your collection, ready to go, because all he needs is a starting opportunity, and he's ready to rock and roll, man. So another prime backup quarterback target right there. So let's look at this question from the chat, man. Yeah, where is our guy? See Steve's baby face in the chat there. He said sorry he's late. He wish he was old enough to drink. We won't tell anybody if you crack one here. Here, I'm gonna crack one for you, Steve's baby face. So
all right, man.
Slightly
so
mighty.
I'm sticking the water, man. They wouldn't slip me the 12 pack at the gas station.
No, I don't think anybody has been snagging Kadarius Toney's. I snagged a couple before the season, but he's injured. Man, Kadarius Toney is having a lost season. We knew that injuries were already an issue for him. He had a higher fragility rating. He's literally only played 2 games, only had 3 targets this year with I mean, literally, he's run a total of 16 total routes this year. I mean, 0 receiving yards. There's a reason why Jonathan Taylor cards, he never comes around anymore. I think he's just kind of embarrassed about what he said about Kadarius Toney before the season. And, now it's one of those things, man. But
he is a popular name coming up in trades. So I mean, maybe a little, I think this guy, because he's probably just in the doghouse over there. His usage doesn't really explain a whole lot. He's probably in the doghouse with the new coaching staff. And if his name's coming up in trades, I wouldn't be shocked if he's on a new team, maybe Green Bay.
Yep. And I want to have nothing to do with Toney. I've got one card of his, and it's good enough, man. I'm good there. He's trouble. He's a knucklehead. He can't stay healthy, and he's just not consistent. He's not a guy that's going to command a lot of targets. But, Steve, you know who is? This is who you need to invest in right now on the Giants. I'm glad you brought up the Giants family Burliner because that's exactly what I want to talk about now. And that is Wandale Robinson, dude. This guy has returned to the lineup in week 6. The Giants, like you mentioned, are devoid of pass catchers. And he posted a juicy 36% targets per route run. He was limited to just a 35% route participation, but that should expand over the coming weeks. He is a rookie, and no one from the Giants receiving corps is demanding targets right now. So it's wide open for this rookie. And not to mention, he's a second-round rookie, so he's got draft capital. He was incredibly explosive in college as well. He actually put up big numbers in college, unlike Kadarius Toney. The guy was 37% college dominator. He went in Kentucky. He put up over 1,300 receiving yards in 2021 with a 40% target share. That's really impressive for a guy that's only 5'8", 180, but he's really fast, Steve. He's explosive, runs a 4.4. This is the guy right here that you want, and especially with him being a rookie, he could easily pop pretty big here in the coming weeks on the 5-1 Giants team.
Yeah, and you're going to have, when you're 5-1, you got a lot of eyes on you. So if he continues to perform and his role with the team continues to grow, like they are pretty much devoid of offensive playmakers outside of Saquon Barkley. So if he does end up being the guy, it's going to look pretty good for his investments. That Elements card's pretty nice. I love the silver auto, by the way.
Yeah, and Saquon's good, right? But for example, they're playing the Jags this weekend. Jags play pretty good against the run. They're 9th in rushing defense DVOA, 13th in passing defense DVOA, and I feel that this game has some interesting potential. I think the Giants are also playing they're playing okay. I mean it's unbelievable what the Giants have actually been able to do. A lot of it I attribute to Brian Daboll. Honestly, I've become a big Brian Daboll fan. I feel like they're just doing enough. They're winning games. They're flat out, they're like one team that I look at in the NFL. I'm like, they're just winning games. This is what they're doing, man. It doesn't matter what it takes. They're finding ways to hang in there until the fourth quarter and then win games. And but they've got to have a pass catcher emerge. It's not going to be Toney. It's not going to be Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard. Kenny Golladay is just collecting a paycheck. It's going to be the rookie. Like outside of Wandale Robinson, I do not want to touch any of their pass catchers. I'd rather pay up for Saquon Barkley. I'd rather buy into Daniel Jones where he's at. Or I'll go and buy into like some Kayvon Thibodeau's, rookie edge rusher on the defense. Or I'm just going to buy some Wandale Robinson, Steve. I think there's still a lot of value to be had in his cards. He's got a lot of potential room to grow up, being a guy that just stepped on the field this past week, man.
Well, and it's a major market. You got to throw that into the mix too. So, if he starts playing well, the demand for his cards will be exponentially more than that of a, guy on the Redskins or whatever we're calling them these days, Commanders. So yeah, he could blow up in the hobby and he could blow up in fantasy the same week. And, these $3, $4, $5 auctions might vanish overnight.
Very well could be. And I would not be surprised if you can find stuff in buy now format as well, because he's not exactly, he just doesn't have a big physical stature. So it's not a guy that is going to really jump off the screen at you. And no, you should not, Crucial K. No, you should not, man. That's the bots, man. There's got to be some kind of blocker. There's got to be some kind of life hack you guys can share with me here. What about this gold standard numbered out of 199 autographed Wandale, $30 or best offer? So I'm wondering if you can come in here and get this with the shipping taken off. This would be a nice little grab. I'd like to get it closer to 20, but I mean, this is not bad right here, just with the limited selection and everything for his card. That looks pretty good.
I like the yeah, no, that looks nice with like the blue border inside the gold there.
Yeah.
I like it. I am a bit fond of the elements cards, but those gold standards do look pretty nice this year.
I would say even something like this, because Immaculate, the brand, is very popular. And even though this doesn't have a rookie card shield or the pro team stuff, it still has sticker autograph, and it's serial numbered, it's immaculate, and the price point is pretty good. I wouldn't be opposed to this card right here. I think this is a decent little opportunity. And I've seen some of these immaculates sell for some of these other guys for more around like $50 to $70. So that one's interesting right there. Or even something like this, the Mosaic draft picks. That's not bad. Free shipping, $9.99. Maybe you're a Giants fan, so there's a little bit of PC value to you there. You could see that there's a lot of like pretty juicy stuff. Like this card, this passport, this is actually supposed to be an SSP card with a print run of under 100, kind of like a prestige case hit. And I saw these cards get up to, I mean, dude, you could look up like Chris Olave passports or Garrett Wilson passports, Breece Hall passports, Damian Pierce passports. I'm trying to think of Jahan Dotson passports, another one. Then I saw these get up like $50, $60, $70. So this one's $24.99 OBO.
I do like those. I actually have like a Cole Kmet and some of the other 2020 players. I think it's a unique concept, that card. It's definitely different than what a lot of the other cards look like. It is kind of like mugshot-ish, but it's got the NFL logo, the draft logo. It does say New York Giants on it. There's nothing related to the college uniform or the pro uniform, so it's kind of like somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that one's really interesting, man. It's, definitely one to keep your eye on there. The luminance do pretty good, so those are kind of your key targets, and there's just so much upward potential. Like this score is numbered out of 6. I know it's green, but it's numbered out of 6. Steve could probably get this for around $20. It's not bad. This one numbered 9. I really like these elites with the Giants colors. I think these look sharp, man. These Donruss Elite serial numbered, high serial number, but still, I'm sure you could find one considerably more rare for around the same price, and I think they look good.
Donruss Elite, the base cards actually look pretty good, and the serial numbered cards do look pretty good too. They're not quite an in between like set per se, but they have the look, and the card stock's actually pretty decently thick. But yeah, there is a lot of the serial numbers, like you said, out of $9.99, and then it goes all the way down to to lower numbers too. But it's a good card to have now, because there's not going to be a whole lot out for a while on those guys. As far as other sets go, we still have 2021 rookie sets coming out.
Let's see. Ryan S. What's good, man? I like that. That's a funny comment from Crucial K. People would be comparing them to mugshots 20 years from now. Appreciate that, Family Burliner. Ryan S. says, trade Aaron Rodgers for Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan finally puts up a good game. Oh, man. Trade Aaron Rodgers for Matt Ryan. Dude, that's what are you gonna say? Because that's rough.
Man. I know it's on the surface, it seems like a no, but maybe for the rest of the season, as far as fantasy purposes go, you could make the argument that Matt Ryan could be the better play. It's hard to say at this point, but Rodgers needs some help at receiver. I think we can all see that. He is getting Sammy Watkins back this week. Who knows how long he'll stay healthy for, but think it'll be interesting to see if they get a receiver the next week or two before the trade deadline.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point, and something tells me they're not. But I look at their upcoming schedule, Steve. They're at Washington. They're at Buffalo. I tend to think they're at Washington. This is a get right spot. If they don't get right here against the Washington Commanders in Washington against Taylor Heineke, and the thing is, the Washington defense, they've been playing decent. So like their pass defense, DVOA is 19th. Against the rush, they're 5. A.J. Dillon has been extremely disappointing this year. Aaron Jones A.J. Dillon spiked week 1, then has totally just fallen off. And then Aaron Jones has had a couple decent performances. And Aaron Rodgers really struggled with these receivers. And there's been drops. They've had a lot of drops. And there's just been struggling chemistry. If they can't get right against the Commanders' 19th ranked passing defense, then I don't know. Yeah, this is bad, man. And I would rather than have the Colts, because Colts are playing at Tennessee this weekend. I kind of like that matchup against Tennessee, a team that currently ranks 29th in passing defense DVOA. 29th. And they're 3rd against the run, but 29th against the pass. So I like that matchup for the Colts. And then they play the Commanders. So then the Colts play the Commanders at home. Then they play the Patriots, which is a difficult matchup. But on the other hand, the Packers are playing at Buffalo after Washington this weekend. So this is what I'm saying. If they don't get right against Washington this weekend, they're screwed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that Matt Ryan's got going for him is he's got, a second receiver stepping up. Alec Pierce has entered the fold as a formidable receiver. And, throwing it over 50 times a game doesn't hurt either. But I think that even with Jonathan Taylor back and healthy, I don't think that that's going to change too much. He's not airing it out downfield. So he's going to be throwing for, fewer yards per pass attempt. So he's going to have to throw the ball more.
Yeah, Alec Pierce is actually one of the other guys that I think that sorry, I was just in an auction and it went over. It was actually so this is full transparency here, guys. This is an auction that I'm bidding on for Steve. It's a 1-of-1 card. And you're like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Why are you bidding on an auction for Steve? Why can't Steve bid on his own auctions? Well, Steve, tell him why you can't bid on your own auctions right now, man.
So you guys are familiar with how eBay works with the non-payment strikes and stuff like that. Well, it turns out it can happen to anyone, and it can happen to you unknowingly, apparently. So, depending on if you're the kind of person that buys like 1 or 2 high-end cards at a time, you'll probably never really come across this. But if you buy from like a single seller who's got a lot of auctions, if you buy in bulk to save on shipping, for example, it turns out there is something that can happen to you, and you may be unaware that it's happening to you. So if you have, I want to say it's 30, it could be 50 items in your cart, when you go to pay, there may have been some items from your cart that get removed. So I had bought quite a few like low end to mid-range cards from DC Sports. I know someone asked about them earlier. They are good from my experience, and free and clear, paid, got everything taken care of, and thought nothing of it. Well, I had unto my knowledge, a auction that I had won from a smaller seller that got moved into my purchases tab, but never went back to my cart after I paid. And 2 days later, 3 days later, whatever it was, I got notification for a non-payment strike. The part of it that sucks is a lot of these big accounts like DC Sports, Probstein, et cetera, they have strict restrictions on who can bid on their accounts. And if you have a non-payment strike in the last 1 month or 2 months or 6 months in some cases, you actually can't even bid on any of their auctions. So do be conscientious if you are buying in bulk. that some of your items may have been moved out of your cart and never made it back there. So just kind of check your purchases tab if you are buying in lots of 30 or greater, where that can happen to you. So I've had to scale back my buying a bit, which is fine, and be a little more selective, but it is a good lesson for me and a good lesson for you guys as well. And yeah, but I appreciate Andy putting in that bid for me. We didn't win, but it was a 1-of-1 that I was going for. And we'll try, if it gets listed again, we'll try to get it next time.
Yeah. Judson cards. Dude, I think it's a great move, man. I think you're getting a great card, super rare, a lot of upside in the in that card and the player. I like it. The price point was solid. I do want to look at second round rookie Alec Pierce for the Indianapolis Colts, because he does seem to be that second favorite target of Matt Ryan. Like, right, you cannot deny the greatness and the tenacity of Michael Pittman Jr. He's so freaking good. He is the guy there. But from a rookie standpoint, Alec Pierce has got a lot of fandom. He's got some speed. He's been able to make some plays. He's definitely got some chemistry and some favoritism from Matt Ryan. And I do think there's some upside in his cards. And the AFC South is still wide open, man. We talked about the AFC South right now. It's still wide open. Right? Nobody's run away with that. We thought the Jacksonville Jaguars may going to. No, not happening now. They just got beat by the Colts after Trevor Lawrence tried to sit on that lead. And now they're playing the Titans this weekend. So another divisional matchup. I like it. They get the Commanders at home. I like it. They could go on a little win streak here. And you could see Alec Pierce pop a little bit. Not a bad guy to stash. You could probably get him for very cheap if you kind of stalk these in auction. I'd say for a wide receiver early. 2 or 3, Steve. I'd say for like a wide receiver 2 or 3, he seems a little pricey, but I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree with that statement. He does, but he's also, I mean, and here's the thing. I think the reason he looks pricey is all of his product is new. And he's a guy that's been, putting up consistent points for fantasy, which, even if you're not in the hobby, you're playing fantasy almost certainly. And he's a guy that you could have got potentially with your last couple picks, and could be carrying your team through an injury right now. If you're a guy that had Marquise Brown, like I did, Alec Pierce is a guy you can plug in. Or if you have Hopkins coming back from suspension, or God forbid Robbie Anderson. But I like Alec Pierce. I think that that Pen Pals card is going to go for way too much. But I think if you can find some lower end serial numbered stuff or something like that, or one of those Elements serial numbered cards, might be a good place to start until his market calms down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Great little move there. I do think that, somebody's got to emerge for Green Bay, going back to Green Bay. I'm not opposed to kind of, it's tough. You want to buy some of these skill guys for Green Bay, like Christian Watson or Romeo Dobbs, but I'm not sure, Steve, this didn't turn out to be a lost season. Like I talked about, they got Washington, and they're at Buffalo, at Detroit, which are like bottom ranked passing defense in the league. Then they get Dallas at home, then Tennessee at home, and then at Philadelphia. So I literally see, like, if they don't get right this weekend at Washington, then they're in big trouble. And I only see really 2 spots at Detroit and then Tennessee at home. Micah Parsons is going to eat up some Rodgers cheesehead for lunch whenever they go to Dallas. And so I'm really only liking this at Detroit. And that's not enough. Like, that is bad news for the Packers and the Packers fans this year. This could end up being a lost season for Rodgers until they get some serious help in there. And man, they got to get right this week. And that's why I think they've got to get. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's too good to not get right at Washington. this week. And I think the Jets are just ascending. They ran into a buzzsaw. They got behind early in that game, and the Jets, Quentin Williams and that Jets defense put some serious pressure. Sauce Gardner's a real deal, and they got the W there. So I think Green Bay kind of bounces back this weekend at Washington for whatever reason. I feel that coming. Like I'm going to definitely be building some DFS rosters with Green Bay stacks. Maybe with a Terry McLaurin bring back, maybe throw some Curtis Samuel in there, something like that. Because Heineke was like he latched on to Terry McLaurin big time whenever he played last year, and of course Curtis Samuel wasn't healthy, but I still think Heineke's probably going to latch on to McLaurin again.
Yeah, I think that Curtis Samuel is actually going to be the most gain from the quarterback change, just because Heineke doesn't have the arm strength, and a lot of Curtis Samuel stuff comes on like screens, dumps, and smaller, shorter routes. So I do think that they're a better team than they were last year when Heineke was starting. So not that makes him better, but he could perform better. I think it'll be interesting to see.
Hey, Judson, congrats, man. Judson just got the Wandale. Dude, I think he's such a great player to buy into this week. And that team, the Giants, they're playing so good right now, man. Tom said they can only send invoices of 40 items at a time, had some 97 card bulk lots before, and it's nightmare scrolling and checking to make sure paid and received all the cards in order. Kind of that was going off of your eBay pro tip that you just mentioned there, Steve.
Yeah, it's through certain accounts they have it pre-set up where the shipping auto adjusts when you add another item to the order. So it wasn't necessarily an invoice issue. It was just a matter of there's a certain threshold for the eBay cart for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's a glitch or whatever the case is, but when the cart is then emptied, the unpaid purchases never return to the cart. So I don't know why that is. Now I'm aware of it. Won't make that mistake again, but if you guys can see other people have had similar situations, it sounds like just be aware, be advised that if you're buying a lot of cards at once, just make sure that they all went through when you paid for your cart to clear your cart. Make sure nothing was left behind.
Would you say I was crazy if I was thinking about buying some Justin Fields rookie cards right now?
Not at all. No, he's improved every week the last few weeks, and he's building his chemistry back up with Mooney. He's visibly frustrated with the situation, as you can't blame him. He's pretty much working with a nightmare scenario for any quarterback. Bad O-line, new coach, terrible receivers. You got to feel that if he doesn't get crippled by the time next season rolls around, he's only going to continue to improve. Like if you look at some of those runs he's made, those are the electric runs that that people go crazy for some of these other QBs. So I like him. And he did maybe miss a couple open receivers this past week, but he also made some good throws. So when you look at his completion rate, they're letting him throw more, and his completion rate's going up. So he should be a guy you should be looking out for.
I dig it, man. That's interesting because that's exactly what I'm reading. He threw for his PFF grade has improved as the season progressed. He posted a 43 overall grade over the first 3 weeks compared to a 69 over the last 3 weeks. Exactly what you just said. He's gotten better, man. He's run for at least 47 yards in each of the last 4 games. And his last 2 games have been his best 2 in terms of completion and passing yards. I've been playing the over on Justin Fields' passing yard prop every week on Underdog, getting it right every week because they've been putting it at like 150 yards. And I'm like, this is just way too. There's the odds of him not hitting this are so low. So And yeah, I want to look at what this, because apparently the upcoming schedule is favorable. I mean, Monday night against the Patriots, Monday night in New England, Steve. Probably not going to be such an easy matchup, but I think it's going to force them to be more aggressive and definitely throw the ball, as New England ranks. Well, maybe not. I mean, they ranked 6th against the pass and 26th against the rush. So no, maybe it sounds like a big David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert game, but obviously I think they're going to have to. You're going to have to try and put points on the board. They can't just kind of like play super slow. And
I think the biggest problem isn't that, the New England's necessarily that good. I mean, any defense against the Bears this season has been done well for fantasy purposes. And another thing to consider is that Bill Belichick is super efficient at exploiting weaknesses. And we got a lot of weaknesses. The Bears have a lot of weaknesses right now, and I think that it's going to be a very difficult game.
Have you seen the 2021 clearly mosaic cards on eBay? I have not. Easy for Prez is asking us, saying these are beautiful cards. They should be popping on eBay. I have not seen these clearly mosaic. I'm not a big fan of acetate cards, to be honest with you. So I'm pulling them up now.
Yeah, let's take a look. I'm curious.
And September 90, yeah, Q&A anytime. And feel free, to drop us a question in the chat if we have a lot of comments going. Sometimes I miss them, but, the super chat is always open. So you can drop a super chat. That'll push it up on the screen. It forces my hand, kind of stops the show and forces us to answer your question. Otherwise, I do a Q&A live stream every Friday morning. So drop a comment, like a comment on this video with your question, and I'll make sure to get to that Friday morning as well. Derek was close with Thursday morning, but Friday morning. And otherwise, you can ask it right now. We're pulling up some clearly downers right now. So let's see here. Is this it? The Saquon? Clearly, no, that's illusions. I typed in clearly mosaic. No, 2021 clearly mosaic. I haven't seen clearly mosaic. I see a lot of clearly Donruss. I see clearly Chronicles, Clear Vision. That's a pretty cool looking Donruss Trey Lance right there. Everybody loves a good clearly Trey Lance rookie card. There's a clear Scott Brady.
Is there like a mosaic insert that's acetate, maybe? I'm not sure what clearly mosaic is.
I have not seen clearly mosaic. We appreciate you, Derek Richard. The howitzer. Look what the howitzer brings in. The bots come back. That's Derek Richard's super chat. We appreciate you, Derek Richard. You're a good man. Go back to some of these comments earlier. Tony Lucan, yes, still high on Ritter. Still think he's one of the best backups because based on how much time he got in the preseason, they're definitely planning on giving him some playing time this season to see what they have. And the thing is, they're winning games right now, so they're not out of it yet, man. They're right in the thick of the NFC South. So you gotta have that, and it's like, why mess up a good thing? So Mariota, thanks to his mobility and stuff, they've been able to kind of hang in there. So it gives you more time to snipe some of these Desmond Ritters. I think he makes for a very, very good upside play in the next few weeks. I'm going to continue targeting him. It's really an auction. I'm not opposed to getting Leaf stuff like this, serial numbered out of 35, Wednesday, 1:12 a.m. If I get that for $25-$30, that's fine. I feel very good about doubling up on that. Something like this, immaculate out of 25, currently 72, ending tomorrow, 8:45. I'm guessing, Steve, this card's going to probably end over $100, but I feel like this is, those cards, immaculate, collegiate, these cards have, I don't know, $400 or $500 upside to them. These are the kind of cards that can get very high in a very quick manner. once a guy starts and the high-end collectors want to pursue their cards, these are the kind of cards that could really, really get high.
Yeah, anytime you have the even if it's college, the immaculate and some of those other just really high-end products, like the people that are throwing the big money around, that's usually where they go first.
Yeah, I want to see 2022 immaculate collegiate, and you just type in that and filter by football, and then go to the sold items and see what is selling on there, what the price points are going at. Understand horizontally formatted cards are going to go for a little bit less. They're just not quite as demanded, but like that's a nice card right there. The Derek Stingley, it still went for 2027. That's a pretty cool card. Like that'd be cool, something cool to get for Carter there. Let's see. Sam Howell, here you go. Here's a Sam Howell rookie patch gold out of 25 that went for 120. So, once again, we're going back to Sam Howell, who's got upside, got some prospecting in him. Man, the Kenny Pickett stock seems to have gone down here, Steve. That was not the way to go out with the concussion after losing to Buffalo, even though he put up, 300 and something passing yards. He was a big play last week. I even had a DFS roster where I had Kenny Pickett stacked with Pickens. Pickett to Pickens is a thing. They've got the chemistry, and and Deontay Johnson and the concussion, man. The concussions are running rampant right now in the NFL for whatever reason. Like I don't ever remember this many concussions. I guess it's just because there's so much spotlight on it, and it's such a serious issue right now. They're taking it very serious, and everybody that is just slightly hitting their head. Like as soon as I see a guy hit his back of his head on the ground, I'm like, oh shit, are they going to put him into protocol? Is he going to protocol? You know, I'm like, get up quick. And so it's like these guys got to pop up quick, or else it's got to usher them off to the protocol. But so it'll be interesting to see where this guy, I think it'll simmer down. I think Boggy was wondering how that would impact like popularity for fantasy and cards and that kind of stuff. And I don't think it's going to have an impact. It's something that we deal with every week. And it's why we diversify. And it's why we have, an assortment of different players in our collections and stuff, just to, you deal with injuries and stuff like that all the time. And football is the most physical sport. Tackle football is the most physical sport that we watch, and so it's just one of those things. But I think all these concussions are going to simmer down, Steve. I don't see this as a trend that continues to get worse and worse. I think it's just kind of, I can't ever remember a time where it's been like this. So I think it's gonna simmer down.
One interesting thing too is that a product like these Immaculates are usually not something that most people get their hands on, because you're not going to go to Walmart and see it sitting on a shelf. And unless you're buying it off of like Steel City, or you have a hobby shop that's charging an arm and a leg for one of these boxes. But there are quite a few reputable breakers that are, selling player slots. I saw this week on that product. So that's an interesting one too. If you're not maybe looking to gamble and spend a little bit and maybe get a high-end card of a guy. I've had some good luck recently with breaks. If that's your thing, that might be a good option, because there's a lot of breakers breaking that product right now.
Appreciate that $5 super chat, late stick. It doesn't work like that, man. You see how Derek did it. When I put up your chat, I put up your super chat, it didn't work, man. They didn't come back. So, but no, you're totally right, Steve. I just wanted to shout out late stick there for a super chat. And do you want to take this one, Steve, from September here? He's asking, why are Donruss and Optic rated rookies valued differently? Your prep, and he also wants to know our preference. Also, would you prefer an auto of a player or a Mosaic Genesis? Ooh, that's a good one, because Mosaic Genesis are pretty rare.
I'll take the first part of the question first. Optic, is considered like a premium product, a premium variation of Donruss. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive right out of the box. You're going to pay more for it. It's got a much better card stock. The card quality is just a lot better. If you look at, we talked about last week about the scarcity factor. There's much fewer optic than base Donruss. So I would say that just a better product. It's more expensive. It's more desirable by the hobby. If you're doing it just from a collectible standpoint, you like the paper stock versus like the higher end glossy stock, then you can save some money by going straight to the Donruss. But the second part of the question, would I prefer an auto of a player or a Mosaic Genesis? I think that depends. I think if it's a rookie, and you didn't really specify the auto, so I think it depends on which product, but just a general auto or a Genesis. I think if it's of a rookie, like a rookie quarterback specifically, I would want the Genesis. If it's just an auto from a random set, the case hits of rookies, specifically rookie quarterbacks, fetch a lot of money. You can see that with the downtowns. You can see that with the Genesises and other case hits. So I think that I would go with the Genesis on that one.
Interesting. Yeah. Genesis, unless it was like an optic on card auto, because I'm with you, Steve. I love the optic because it is a thicker card stock, which to me, I've seen less corner and edge issues on the optic cards versus the base Donruss. So from that standpoint, I like the optic better. Plus the base optic comes with kind of like that chrome etched finish that you're talking about. So I like that as well. That's why optic is more expensive. Like to like with than Donruss, base Donruss. So I like the thicker, higher. It feels, just feels like you can't. If you were savvy enough, you could replicate a base Donruss at your house, with a paper that you could buy from like Staples or Home Depot, Office Depot, if those things are still around. But you can't do it with an optic. Like you got to have some serious like knowledge and equipment and all kinds of stuff. It's just a lot more intricate card with higher quality. So that's kind of like the big difference. So I don't know. I like the Mosaic Genesis. I think they look really cool. If it was an optic on card auto color matched with like a serial number out of 50, I'd go with that over. But otherwise I'll take the I'll take the Genesis.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The optic autos are, when you talk about like layers of desirability, the optic rated rookies are usually a go-to right after the Prism. I think it's actually pretty close. The hobby seems to price the Prism just slightly higher, but you have optic, which is one of the key desirable sets. Then it has, if it's serial numbered, that's another layer. If it's autoed and serial numbered, that's another layer. So yeah, if you're talking about an optic rated rookie auto, definitely that. But if we're talking about just like a score auto versus like a Genesis, I would take the Genesis.
Judson Card says, do you think buying Matt Corral and Malik Willis is worth it? I was actually starting to get on Matt Corral before the season, only because it was like arbitrage play to Sam Darnold, and then they picked up Baker Mayfield, and I was like, okay, now we've got Baker coming in, and then Matt Corral got hurt in the preseason, and it was like he was already playing terrible. He looked terrible, like clearly not ready for the NFL. So I was like, okay, I'm out on Matt Corral. Now the whole Panthers situation is just abysmal. Don't want to touch Matt Corral. Yeah, I'll probably never get a shot at this point. And the Panthers are probably going to get a really good quarterback in the draft next year, top pick in the draft next year. If they play the rest of their season right, they need to tank now, man. Like if I was them, like, dude, guys, we got to tank, man. We got to get a quarterback next year. Malik Willis, on the other hand, absolutely freaking worth it. That guy is good, man. He's got a cannon for an arm. The raw attributes there, Steve, are incredible. I mean, his ability to run and break tackles, like the grace that guy has is like Saquon Barkley, but with a howitzer for an arm, like Josh Allen, So I really get excited whenever I see Malik Willis play on the field. And you look at the weapons are solid. I'm a big fan of Robert Woods. He's Mr. Consistent, great wide receiver. Treylon Burks, fantastic. He'll be back, and then Derrick Henry kind of opens up that passing game. So yeah, man, I've been waiting for Ryan Tannehill. I hate to say it, but and there was when they got destroyed by the Bills early in the season, they benched Ryan Tannehill and put in Malik Willis, and it was the end of the game against the Bills, who have one of the best defenses in the league, and so clearly he was like, but if he were to get a true start against maybe not the top-ranked defense in the league, I think he would do really well for over the course of an entire game. Of course, he's going to make some rookie mistakes, but the guy's got such incredible raw athleticism that his values would go through the roof because people would be like, oh my God, like this guy's the next Vince Young or, Donovan McNabb, Mike Vick kind of style.
I don't know. I have a little bit of a contrary opinion on that one. I think that Malik Willis is a sell for me because not just what Derek said, but I think that he's got all the tools that people look for in a quarterback that they want to invest in. But I feel like if it's a guy you can get cheap, or if you pull one, you can get like maximum value out of him now because he's got all the tools, but he may not have the QB skills to be a QB in the NFL. He's got all the raw, he's got the speed, he's got the arm strength, he's a freak athlete. There's no doubting any of those three things, but can he be a quarterback in the NFL is a whole different conversation. So I think that I would take the opposite side of that argument. I would probably sell while you can, because he could end up getting, buried and being a year 2 QB, year 3 QB buried on the depth chart, and his you'd be able to buy that same card for like a fifth of what you can get it for right now.
Yeah, and ultimately, if you're just hopping in here, who is this comment by? Sorry. Oh yeah, Judson. No, Judson's not hopping in. So I would be looking more at Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell from a quick flip standpoint. I think those guys have a higher likelihood of playing and actually being able to flash and generate quite a bit of hype. I don't think Malik Willis really has a shot of starting this year as long as the Titans stay somewhat competitive and Ryan Tannehill is healthy. It's going to take an injury for him to get a starting opportunity. G-Dog Beatbox, what's good, man? G-Dog Beatbox says, Daniel Jones rated rookie graded. Like this question, we talked about how Wandale Robinson is such a good buy. We know Saquon Barkley continues to be on top of the running back mountain. He's on you can see him in terms of most graded card sales in the last 30 days. He's number 6 behind these guys, all quarterbacks, man. 2 of them are Jalen Hurts cards because they've been so cheap, and now they're going up. So, Saquon's right there, and Daniel Jones has been going up a lot too, Steve. I think that he's still got like a lot of room. Like we could do a 2019 compare. I think it's kind of fun because Daniel Jones, let's see, what did he ask about? A rated rookie graded. All right. So you could still get that card for pretty cheap in auction Saturday, $24.99. What's the 1 year on that? It's been pretty steady around that price point. So, yeah, this is we could see it get up to the highest it's been since beginning of the 2020 season, something like that, Steve.
Yeah, and you got to remember with a guy like him and Saquon both that people were probably heavily invested in them over the last few years. Maybe not the last year, but the last few years, and probably have a bad taste in their mouth because both of them were either injured or not playing good at all. That being said, there may be some hesitancy to get back into the market with these guys. But, if you're looking at let's say Matt Corral for $40, but you can get this PSA 10 for $34. I think it's a no-brainer. That you get the one that's 34 of a guy that's beginning to ascend again, and his team is 5-1, right?
What's interesting to note here is the canvas, so the base Donruss PSA 10 has a population of 1,500. The canvas has a population of only 118. It's the short print optic hollow variation to the base Donruss, only a population of 118. That card still sold on Saturday, and I buy it now for $24. Someone had a PSA 10, $24. And it's not like Daniel Jones is going out and blowing people's minds. He also doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to. And then, like we said, they've just been winning games. So, I mean, to get a PSA 10, I think it's smart because ultimately I'm seeing Brian Daboll bring this team together, and they've got some serious potential just to kind of hang in there towards the end of the season, maybe grab a wild card spot. Who knows? Who knows what happens? So it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's somebody that you could buy into with very little downside. Like you said, Steve. So, yeah, I mean, whether it's a rated rookie, whether it's a prism, whether it's the base select, getting the PSA 10 base card for $25 is a very little downside. And even something like field level silver, because let's go and look at even Kyler Murray. Like, if you guys didn't buy Kyler Murray cards last week, well, you got another opportunity this week. Even his base Donruss rated rookie is close to 50. So his prism is at 90, an average of 100. So, yeah, there's a big difference there, Steve.
One thing to note, and I used this as an argument last year when people said Jalen Hurts wouldn't be good, and I said, Josh Allen wasn't good right away either, right? It took a little development, and you could make the same argument for Daniel Jones. I mean, his own teammates even said that he never really got a fair shake in being, having the skill put around him and getting developed properly. Not saying that he could be as good as Josh Allen, but what if he continues to improve even from where he's at now? I think it's a fair investment to get, a PSA 10 rookie of his for $30 seems cheap.
Very cheap. So Judson says, Judson says if he gets the Wandale Robinson green out of 6 here to get graded, what grading company should he go with? I think you and I are kind of on the same page with this company now, so I'll let you take this one, Steve. I'm curious to hear your take on this.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's always PSA or SGC. I really like SGC a lot. I think that people have kind of drifted a little bit back towards PSA because they've dropped their prices a bit. I would say it's between those two. I mean, ultimately, there seems to be a little bit more of a gain in price from the PSA rather than the SGC, but it's typically only on the really high-end stuff. So I think either one of those is just fine.
Yeah, I think in SGC, you're going to get it back a lot quicker. So for the same price point, right? And you have a higher declared value, which obviously this one's not going to come close to any of those declared value limits. But I mean, looking at this, it kind of looks like a grading candidate, but I will say just be warned, like examine this surface really closely here because these scorecards are thin paper and there's a lot of look at that little corner right there on the back. Like the front looked good, but now that I'm looking at the back right bottom, I'm like, that could be a little dinged corner, man. It's just that score. That's score for you. That's kind of the risk you run. Ultimately, Judson, I'd only get this graded if this was like a PC card and I was like planning to put it on my wall and I just want to encapsulate it and I'm not planning to flip it. Otherwise, I'm just going to immediately turn around. I'm guessing you probably got this somewhere around 20 out the door. So I'm going to turn around and list it for 40, 45 probably and accept offers, around 35 to 40 and just flip it and have fun with it.
And I think it would just, let's be honest. I mean, most cards look better in a SGC slab than they do in a PSA slab. So
there you go. And with how rare that's true. That's a 2 out of 6. I am kind of underselling it. Honestly, 2 out of 6. I'd probably go look, but yeah, I'd probably list that closer to $80 or something like that. I do think Derek's right. It's got more potential than that because of how rare it is. So great buy again, Judson, man. Just hit that like button for Judson, guys. Dash. Look at Dash coming in here all patriotic with the little American flags. Loving it. Can you rate my recent buy? $16.50. Ahmad Sauce Gardner 2022 Panini Gold Standard Jersey patch numbered out of 399. 1650, man. That's not bad. I mean, hey, Sauce is one of the most hyped up defensive players in the league right now, next to like Micah Parsons and even elite guys like Aaron Donald, because Sauce is a rookie. Sauce is getting all the hype, man. Massive market with the Jets. He's also playing incredibly well as a rookie right now, and he's just checking all those boxes, man. And it's a limited product, so $16.50 on that. It seems like a good deal to me. I don't know. I give you 8.5.
Yeah, you kind of want to ride the hot hand, if you will. I mean, maybe the kind of card that you want to resell quickly while everyone's buying in.
Has Sauce led up a touchdown this year? Well, let me see. That's a great question. I'm not sure if he has or not. I honestly, let's see. Shadow rate. Okay. Pass breakups, he currently ranks number 1 amongst corners with 9 pass breakups. It's number 1 in the league. He has allowed 1 touchdown, apparently. He has allowed 1 touchdown. So I'm curious. I wonder, let me see, game log. Yards allowed, receptions allowed. Let's see who it was again. Who got the touchdown against Sauce? Was that T. Higgins in week 3? It's T. Higgins as a rookie. You're trying to cover T. Higgins. What was T. Higgins' box score in week 3? I think that was it. He was covering T. Higgins in week 3.
Was that the week where he went off for like 114 or whatever it was?
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was the Jets. All right, let's see. T. Higgins game on.
While you're looking that up, Andy, if you're playing fantasy, you might have like a Vikings defense or Eagles defense on a bye this week. Look at picking up the Jets defense, who have been weekly projected well below what they've been putting out. So you may be able to, if you don't want to waste a waiver wire pick on them, you may be able to get them, after the transactions process for free, essentially.
Wasn't T. Higgins. Did not let up the touchdown to T. Higgins. He covered Devin Duvernay in week 1. Oh, that was it. He gave up the touchdown in week 1 to Devin Duvernay. But if I remember correctly, that was a crazy, like low probability touchdown from Devin Duvernay in week 1.
They got
that was a low probability touchdown. I can visualize that touchdown in my head. It was like back corner, great throw from Lamar, low probability of completion from Duvernay, like snagged it.
What's your take on the whole? The Ravens are loading up. Well, maybe loading up. They're going to have Bateman back, but now they're going to potentially have Deshaun Jackson.
Yes, Deshaun Jackson signed by the Ravens today. They need it, man. Rashad Bateman in a boot, and Devin Duvernay's he's a spike week guy, but he's not one of these guys that's going to command a large target share. They need more depth. Derek, I like Rashad Bateman. So, I mean, I don't know why Derek doesn't like him so much. Probably because he wasn't drafted in the first round. No, Bateman was drafted in the first round. I think it's just he doesn't like Minnesota receivers. Well, Tyler Johnson has been a massive bust. Thanks, Tyler Johnson, for all the Bucks wide receiver rookie cards I have of you that I'm probably never going to be able to sell. But I don't know. I like Bateman. It's not terrible. I mean, we've only, once again, we get a small, fairly small sample size, and it's like run first team. You got Lamar Jackson with the rushing upside. You got Mark Andrews with the clear target lead there in Baltimore, and I still think that Bateman had some pretty solid. Like he was getting 5-6 targets a game there before he got hurt. Was converting, touchdowns in both week 1 and week 2. There was definitely some upside. Fell off in week 3 against New England, week 4 against Buffalo, and we haven't seen him since. So, I mean,
I wasn't too high on him going into the year. I thought that simply just putting him into a wide receiver 1 role wasn't necessarily gonna net wide receiver 1 results, which I think I was at least right on that part. But he did have some huge plays, which I wasn't expecting. So I mean, I think the jury's still out on which Bateman we're going to see the rest of the year. But now that they're adding more receivers, I don't know.
All right, man. Let's see. What did I must have won some pick'ems. So guys, if you're tuned in right now to the live stream, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying this live stream all about football and football cards. Please hit that like button if you're enjoying it. It kind of lets that YouTube algorithm know that we're putting out somewhat decent content. If you can stand all the sex bots that keep popping up, or maybe enjoy this, hit the like button. Hey, we appreciate you guys so much. We are also still affiliated with Underdog Fantasy. So the one thing that we're playing a lot of is prop bets, where we get to pick over-unders on player stats on a weekly basis. Is so much fun. Where we get to come in here and we get to say, hey, we think Alvin Kamara is going to go over 64 rushing yards. Boom, we hit the higher on that. We're going to talk about Will Lutz, 1.5 field goals made against Arizona. You can hit the higher on that. You can string 5 of these picks together. You can 20x your money. You can, you can put 2 of them together, make 15. If I put in 5, you can string 20 of them together, and you could potentially turn that 5 into what is that math, Steve? $100. So
yeah, we've done it a couple times, and it's always exciting.
Yeah, and let me look at my results for my pick'ems. Boom, I did. I got the Matt Stafford and the Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Look, dude, I was really close. So these were the slips I put in yesterday. I was pretty close. So one strategy is like painting a picture for the game, like talking about game theory, right? These guys weren't actually playing in the same game, but I hit the under on Clyde Edwards-Helaire rushing, thinking that Buffalo was going to be throwing the ball a lot, or not. Kansas City was going to be throwing the ball a lot against Buffalo, and they have a good run defense. So, boom, hit the under on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Matt Stafford ended up with -3 rushing yards. This was an easy matchup against Carolina at home, a game where Matt Stafford doesn't have to run for his life. He can throw the ball to, world beater Cooper Kupp, or dump it off, or anything but have to run the ball and scramble for his life. And that's exactly what happened. Plus, you have the potential of kneel downs. So this is a guy that didn't hit that over for like 2 of the last 5 weeks. So it was a high probability of hitting him and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Hit those. Those are the kind of things we're stringing together. And the other advantage of doing them early in the week, right? So if you're new, right, promo code Quest, instant 100% deposit bonus, up to $100. Get up to $100. And Steve, what's your preferred razor and your preferred pick'em bets right now early in the week? I've got a couple. If you don't have any yet, it's early in the week. It wasn't on the show sheet. I'm just kind of throwing you a curveball here, man.
Yeah, I'd be happy to run down the list and maybe pick some before the lines adjust, perhaps. But
exactly, man, before the lines adjust. So I think this is a great key little tip here, guys. If you get in on these early in the week when they release them, as more people place bets, right? So one that I'm on, Steve, is DeAndre Hopkins lower this week. He's only hit this in 2 games last season. He only hit the over on 2 games last season. The Cardinals largely used him as a possession style receiver. So, or wait, maybe I'm hitting the over. No, I want to hit the under. I want to hit the under on DeAndre Hopkins. So that's one, but this could move. If more people continue to hit the under, for example, on DeAndre Hopkins, then they're going to move it, right? Like same thing with Marcus Mariota, 230 total yards. I want to hit the higher on this, Steve.
I like that one. Yeah.
At Cincinnati, Cincinnati is ascending right now. They're getting their crap together. Atlanta's got their crap together. They're playing better. They're putting up points. You know, pair this with Drake London. So this is the other thing, like daily fantasy, you're not competing against a large player pool. So you don't have to consider ownership percentages per se and like create these contrarian plays that maybe not everybody else is playing. So you can kind of vault yourself to the top of the leaderboards. You just have to get the stats right, man. You just have to get it right. And so these are coin tosses. But Mariota over 230, you pair that with Drake London over 52.5, right? First round rookie wide receiver, Derek, early first wide receiver taken. So, I mean, this one is a little fragile, but I think Cincinnati does force Atlanta to be more aggressive this week, Steve.
Especially if Cincy keeps playing the way they are and maybe get ahead. You know, they may be forced to get some garbage time points, which just works great for these kind of pick'em sheets.
Yeah, now you've got all these bringbacks on the Cincinnati side. Joe Burrow, 275, right? He hit that 2 out of the last 3 weeks, so you could look at that. That's not a bad one right there. I mean, if I'm looking at the stats, I mean, Atlanta's not exactly like A.J. Terrell is good, but overall their passing defense ranked 23rd in passing defense, DVOA 25th against the rush. Honestly, I'm going to be having a lot of daily fantasy rosters with Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, and Jamar Chase, or maybe Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, because T. Higgins has been quiet. So I like T. Higgins to go off. I like Jamar Chase. I like all the Bengals overs in this game against Atlanta. But on the other side, I like this game is going to be one that I'm targeting a lot, Steve, in daily fantasy. And so I'm going to parlay that with pick'ems. You know, we're always trying to target Burrow, Chase, Higgins on the low if we can. In cards, Drake London makes a great investment because he's a rookie and he's very good first-round talent. So you can parlay all of this stuff with other aspects of football, like cards and stuff like that. So that's why it's such a natural marriage that we have here.
You know, one of these weeks, Kyle Pitts is actually going to go off. They're just not really using him that much. If you look at his numbers for the year, it's just underutilization. I don't know if it's that he's not looking for him or what the case is, but he's too good to stay off the fantasy radar. I've actually seen him dropped in some leagues, and that's a guy you definitely want to hold on to. Throw him on the bench if you're not comfortable starting him right now, but he's too good to be like bench fodder or free agent fodder.
No, you're right, man. And Arthur Smith is killing me with the way they're utilizing Kyle Pitts. Finally found a touchdown this past week. I was like, thank God, because I've got a lot of exposure to Kyle Pitts in my dynasty leagues, and his cards values have not been doing great because of the usage and everything. And then it was the injury, and so now finally a touchdown. So it could be on the up and up. So you could correlate the Mariota over with a Pitts over or a London over. The only important thing is you have to have, like, on your slip, you have to have at least one guy from a different team, right? So we've got Hopkins here lower. We're going to go ahead and put in now a slip for Mariota, Drake London. Steve, which one of these Cincinnati guys should we pick, or should we skip it? Let's keep looking and see what else we've got here.
Ooh, what about Zeke? Kind of like that because he looked a lot better this week.
I like that. Look, he's hit it both the last 2 weeks against Philadelphia, and the Rams, and Washington at home. Now you get Detroit, who literally has the 31st ranked rushing defense. They're 32nd against the pass, 31st against the rush. You also may get Dak Prescott back this week, so maybe they do want to lean on the run game a little bit more to kind of ease him back into it, kind of thing. So that's actually, that's a very solid prop, right? In a game in which you expect the Dallas Cowboys to be in a positive game script as well. Because sure, the Lions get Amon-Ra St. Brown back. They've got the great O-line. But at the same time, can any O-line stop Micah Parsons? The
game's got shootout potential too. So you want to see a lot of scoring and the ball moving down the field quickly. As bad as they are at stopping the run, he may not need more than 8 to 10 carries to get to that number.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. Like he's hit it 2 of the past 3 weeks. If I look at the entire season, even the week that he missed it by 10 yards. And let me look at the game log. Let me go back and look at the entire season. See what the rushing yards, the total yards. I mean, dude, okay, so he didn't hit it in week 1 or week 2, but then he hit it in week 3. He missed it in week 4 just slightly, but week 5 and week 6 hit it in both of those. So, I mean, we're looking at a coin toss. But the game theory on this game with how bad Detroit's defense is, and with the fact that they are at home, and the fact you got Dak Prescott coming back off of a hand injury, I think this sets up pretty well to just feed Zeke, right? I mean, this is like kind of one of those games where Zeke should get 20 to 25 carries, and they're not going to be trailing like they were against the Eagles. I mean, it's possible, but the likelihood is in our favor to go over on this. I like it.
Man, anything with Jacksonville in the title scares me. I don't know about you. I tend to shy away from those. The Christian Kirk one's rather low, but Giants have been formidable enough.
So Christian McCaffrey's got a line here of 100.5 rushing plus receiving. He's literally that entire offense. You bring in Jacob Eason, we know can't run. Tampa Bay has got a very high pressure rate. Like, they don't even have to blitz. They're going to get pressure on Jacob Eason, and their secondary is good. So we could see a lot of Christian McCaffrey in this game against Tampa. And I think if I look at this, okay, CMC has hit this line in almost every healthy game he's had going back for years. I mean, that's just the kind of the bottom line. It's a total. So, because you look at his receiving lines, he's only got to put up, look, I mean, he even hit it against Arizona when he only had 27 rushing yards. He still got 81 receiving yards and still hit it. You know what I'm saying? Even against San Francisco, who, when healthy, have the best defense in the league next to like Buffalo and probably like, I don't know, Denver's defense is pretty good, but I would say San Francisco, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, Dallas, probably the best defenses in the league, New England. So, yeah, I mean, if he hit that against San Francisco, I think there's a pretty good chance he could hit that against Tampa Bay this weekend.
What about Matt Ryan at 242? I mean, they're throwing 50 times a game. You think?
So what's the injury status on Jonathan Taylor? And then Tennessee, yeah, this is interesting because this is a division matchup. Tennessee against the pass has been 29th, and they're third against the rush and 29th against the pass. Honestly, you know what? I like this because look at the past 3 weeks, dude. This is a line that's going to go up. That's it. Yeah, that's there you go, man. You just found an easy one. Look at that. I mean, he's hit that gonna go and look and see how many weeks he's actually hit that. I mean, he may have hit this. Maybe he didn't hit this in week 1, week 2, but he's hit this in all the past 3 weeks, and they still have it set this low. So this is a line that by the end of the week, Steve, we could see go up to more of like 260 yards, 255 yards. And right now it's only 242.
Yeah, you look at the lowest passing attempts over the last couple of weeks was 37. So, and that was against the same team. It was against Tennessee.
He threw for 356 yards against Tennessee in week 4. And he even threw for 251 against Denver's elite defense. So give me the over on this all day. I think this is a line that probably moves as we get later into the week. Regardless of the status of Jonathan Taylor. And it turns out Deion Jackson, they throw the ball to him a lot. So he's kind of used more of like a Christian McCaffrey type role. And granted, Nyheim Hines has been out and Jonathan Taylor's been out. So there's that. But yeah, so I could put in $5 here, make 100, potentially parlay this into a nice bet, or put in all 15 and go for the big gusto.
You feeling froggy?
Yeah, I mean, I probably will put some more money into my account so I can do some more this weekend. But it's a good initial look. And one thing I've been doing, because I really like this slip and it's early, and I feel really good about it. Unless DeAndre Hopkins screws me, there's a chance I could miss on this one right here. This Hopkins Thursday night. So all these other picks will be contingent on that. So if I miss this, I may come back in here and do another slip with just these 4. And so I don't have to hit so many legs, but boom, and if I was new, I would have put in promo code Quest for that 15, got another 15, made it 30, or just pony up, put in 100, get a free 100. Now, if I'm putting in 100, my free 100, and I hit that, I'm making $2,000. You know what I'm saying? Then you could buy you some nice cards with that. Or you could just keep playing props and cashing out a little bit, playing cards and dabble in a little bit of all of it, man. It's fun.
Yeah, and I tend to like props just a bit more than picking lines because it kind of, like you said, correlates a bit more with with cards, individual performance. You want to, if you believe in a guy that he's going to perform well, then you believe that his card values should reflect that play. I like it.
I love Tony Pollard. I actually shared a Tony Pollard Silver Prism auto in the Discord that closed for way too low, like yesterday or the day before. Shout out to James. Tony Pollard is crushing it, man. He's continuing to crush it. Dallas likes to run the ball. Tony Pollard, number 7 yards per reception. Breakaway run rate, 7.3%. I mean, he's already had 4 breakaway runs over 15 yards. I mean, dude, what's not to like about Tony Pollard? And teams are stacking the box against Dallas the past few weeks because of Cooper Rush and stuff. And Tony Pollard's still getting it done. And he's just a stud, man. He's in a contract year too. So, like, I'm always trying to get some more Tony Pollard in my collection. And is he on here? I don't think there was a line for him. Yeah, there's not a line for him yet on Underdog, but I'll be looking for it. I like that Zeke line though. That's a pretty easy one to hit right there. So
yeah, let's do another one day this week.
Brian Davis, dude. So field level silver is a great one to go after. 2019 rookie here. So if you're not going after autograph cards like Rookie Ticket Auto, which are incredible, go for Optic Hollows. Go for field level silvers, like that bad boy right there. Wonderful cards. Get those for around like $10, and you could double those up all day. I love the Optic short print parallels, the Prism silvers from 2019. They all look fantastic with the Cowboys uniforms. It's just slam dunk play. Field level silvers, a whole 9 yards, Steve. What about you, man?
I sold a lot of Pollards last year. I had what's it called? The Dragon Scale Select Field Level. Sold one
Oh,
of those. Had a
nice.
couple of nice ones, and actually for those of you that don't know, I was got a lot of my information about getting back into the hobby from this gentleman right here, Andy, and kind of how I got on the Pollard train early on. So yeah, man, a lot of insight, and for those of you that are just following on YouTube, we have a great community on Discord, always talking football and football cards, and there's a lot of big brain people in there in the hobby that either play fantasy or just collect or flip or whatever the case is. And there's a lot of discussions to be had, a lot of information to be gained. No matter what you're always learning something. I know I am.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Late Stick's in there, Derek's in there, Down Home Sports Cards is in there. I appreciate that, man. Hope you're having a great evening as well. You also, Steve, you get access to this Keep 'em web app. You get access to the bonus written content that I put out over there, the Backstage Pass, the Hype Index rankings, tracking the top 300 and now 25 players in the NFL on a weekly basis, updating that every week with my Hype Index rankings, taking into account their team score, their age and draft score, their social media popularity, the team popularity, their Hall of Fame ranking, and all of their production scores from what they're expected to do versus what they actually do, and then whether their team wins or loses. So we've got all that stuff in there as well. Check it out if you care about the show. You want to take advantage of the full football card experience. It's in the description. It's been a fun live stream tonight, Steve. It's time for us to sign off, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. We got some bye weeks, but there's still a ton of football to be played this week. Catch you guys in the Discord. Maybe Andy will maybe make another couple bet sheets before Sunday.
Yeah, definitely we'll be making a couple bet sheets before Sunday. So if we don't make it back on a stream, which we haven't been able to do it yet, I'm still working on that. But like before the games, after the game, my weekends are just crazy with the kiddos and everything. But guys, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. Saints Cardinals Thursday night, then Browns Ravens, Bucks at the Panthers, Falcons at the Bengals, Lions at the Cowboys, Giants at the Jags, Colts, Titans, Packers at the Commanders, Jets at the Broncos. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Texans at the Raiders. Yep, I like that. Seahawks at the Chargers at 4:30. Then the Chiefs at the 49ers at 4:30. And then the Steelers at the Dolphins Sunday Night Football. And the Bears at the Patriots Monday night.
Tua to go off again.
Fun weekend. Big weekend.
He'll be back and healthy.
Big weekend, man. All right. Hit that like button. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.